There's a lot of this going around, and I have a feeling it's going to keep happening. The trouble with creating games that are meant to appease the market, if you will, is that you're eventually going to run into other people's concepts that were intending to do the same thing. It's sort of like bumping the dart off the dartboard when you hit the bullseye next to your friend, and your friend's dart that was there before falls off the dartboard. It's one of those things where you're going to hit the same target if you're aiming for it, right? That's what's going to happen, and here we are. Bungie being sued for copyright infringement now. So we'll read a little bit here. This is the Insider Gaming with Mike Straw, and so what they're saying here is that an author is suing Bungie for copyright infringement after they say the studio copied his writing in order to develop the story for Destiny 2. The lawsuit, filed on October 2nd, first reported by the Game Post. We will be covering that in just a second. They've got more details, but this one goes over who this guy is a little deeper. And so Kelsey Martineau is an author based out of Louisiana in the United States and says that Destiny 2's Red War story features a number of elements from his work. Martineau, who goes by the pen name Casper Cole, says that his work was published in 2013 and 2014, 3 years before the release of Destiny 2. All right, now to get more into the detail of what he's talking about, the Game Post, just game, single game, the Game Post had this to say. Uh, Destiny 2 lawsuit targets Bungie for alleged story theft. Okay, so here we have it. In his complaint, Martineau states that the leader of the Red Legion, Yinara, I think that's how you spell it, Yinara, has an origin story and motivations almost identical to the Red War campaign's main villain in Destiny 2, the Dominus Goal. I think that's how I say it. Gohal? I'm not sure. Both characters, according to the lawsuit, are shown as societal outcasts who rise to prominence as leaders and aim to take control of a powerful celestial entity, hovering above the Earth. Martineau's Tonotobe station and Destiny's Traveler. And so, again, if you're aiming for the same spot in the market, odds are you're both going to end up there. And this is what I keep telling people. I'm in the indie creator sphere. I make comics, I make manga, I'm working on making a movie. I'll have more information, don't worry. But the thing is that when you're trying to appease the market, you're going to do that. But there's also a million billion other people trying to do that as well, okay? So I would highly recommend that rather than trying to infuse a story you're creating with all the things you'd expect a corporate level production to be, I'd recommend steering out of that. Don't do that. Instead, take your personal experience with the story. Let me explain a little bit here. So, what I do is that rather than looking at a character like Superman and seeing, like, aha, there's a tall, strong guy and he punches things very hard and he's from another planet and he lives on a farm and he's really based, and I don't look at him like that. I see Clark Kent, a guy that's an outsider. He's having a very hard time finding his place in the world because he doesn't have roots to grow from. He's been transplanted, if you will, to another world, an alien culture, and he grew up among them. So while his physiology is different, while he's aware he's from a more advanced culture, he is among people who are, by his estimation, below him. Not by his attitude, by the way. Clark does not believe you are lesser than him, not in any way, shape, or form. He is aware of his physiology, that his physical attributes separate him from you. And it's one of the things that's important about how he presents Clark Kent in the city, right? Clark is presenting himself as a weak guy that's fumbling around, and he has glasses, and he's very sheepish, and he doesn't have this kind of go forward attitude that Superman does. And this is because this is what Clark Kent perceives to be the average man. That the unnoticeable guy, the forgotten man, is what he walks around Metropolis pretending to be. And so when I create characters born out of that understanding of Superman, they don't tend to lean into the fact that they're strong and from another planet. They lean into how they exist on this planet among these people and deal with the separation of their physical attributes from the people that they walk around. A character I created is super all the time, if you will. Her hair can cut through human bone. She can't comb her hair without a wire brush, a thing that they straighten out cable with before they hang it. And that's what it is for that character. That's it's a very tortured kind of existence that you can't feel the wind unless it's a gale force hurricane wind. You don't feel the cold until it's 20 below zero, that kind of thing. But it tells a different story that a lot of people in the marketplace aren't doing. It's sort of like when people want to tell a Batman character and they end up just creating Spawn. Spawn with guns. You know, and that you're aiming in the same direction. Don't do that. Take your own experience with that story and character and put that into what you're creating. And you don't end up with this. You don't end up with, hey, that's my idea. No, it isn't. I came up with this on my own. And then you end up fighting it out in court. So we'll go on and hear more about what Mr. Martineau's situation is with Bungie. And I'm not saying either side is right on this because you never know anymore. You really never know. And it says, quote, the similarities between Martineau's primary antagonist, Yinara, and Destiny 2's primary antagonist, Dominus Gall, are striking and clearly establish more than a mere coincidence. The rise of Dominus Gall from Destiny 2 replicates the rise of Overlord Yinara from Martineau's work. They are both urged, guided, and assisted by outcast mentors, scholars, if you will, to overthrow their leaders to rise to power with the intention of invading Earth. Again, if you're aiming for the same spot, you're going to hit it. In both Martineau's work, including Without Limitation, The First Defense, that's the title of his book, The First Defense, or one of his works, it might not be a book, and then Destiny 2, rebels fend off Red Legion invaders on Earth against backdrops of burning settlements, ravaged streets, and utter chaos. Here we are again. Martineau's complaint states that Destiny 2's Red Legion operates under a hierarchy similar to his version, with both factions having soldiers known as Legionnaires. Another point is the portrayal of war beasts in Destiny 2, which Martineau argues are nearly identical to his creation called Miogas. Miogas. I'm thinking that's what it is, which are dog-like creatures used by the Red Legion to further their military tasks. The lawsuit further emphasizes the similarities in technology used by the Red Legion in both works, including powerful weapons. Martineau's story includes a weapon called the Atonizer, not atomizer, it's the Atonizer, a laser-based super weapon that could spell doom for the conquered population, people it's being pointed at. In Destiny 2's Red War campaign, a comparable superweapon named the Almighty is used by Gall's Red Legion to threaten the destruction of Earth's sun. Both the Atonizer prototype and the Almighty are portrayed as extremely powerful weapons that can bring about the destruction of an entire race. Technically, so can a nuke, really, if you get down to it. The lawsuit also alleges other copy details and plot points in Destiny 2's Red War storyline, including failsafe, Cabal incendiors, I think that's Cabal incendior, flamethrowers. Yeah, it's flame. Flamethrowers, encrypted messages, the spaceship reactor's digital input panels, beacons as message receivers, Red Legion transmissions, the concept of consciousness transfer, and the exo-race apocalyptic storyline. So what you're looking at is another situation that we reported on earlier this year. We were covering this a little bit earlier. J.B. Augustine was following the judge rules against Chris Wozniak in plagiarism case against Warner Brothers Discovery and DC over the Batman. We don't need to get into the details of Wozniak's case because it's been settled. But what I wanted to emphasize about this is that if you're aiming for the same target, you're going to hit it. This is what happened with Wozniak. His case wasn't as, I guess, like 1-2-1, 1-2-1, 1-2-1 as you're dealing with Martineau's case, all right? So, again, I'm not diminishing what Wozniak was doing because, again, he's kind of in the same boat as Martineau, but Martineau appears to be detailing more one-to-one comparisons beyond what Wozniak's case was. And so that's what I wanted to stress about this, is that Wozniak lost his case, and it's probably what's going to happen over here with this fella, Martineau, with his case against Bungie. The corporations tend to have more lawyers to throw at this stuff, and of course, with more lawyers, there's more people to end up muddying up the conversation you're actually having, and then the jury ends up, deciding in favor of the corporation because the corporation is more familiar to them. And Martineau has asked for a jury. Now, I don't think he's going to get the response he wants because corporations tend to control the atmosphere. And if they find that they're going to be threatened by the jury, they'll find a way to remove jury members that aren't friendly to them. We've seen this happen over and over and over again. This is like one of the high-profile game ones, or at least it will be high-profile once this news starts getting around and the court starts going in, because Bungie, again, dealing with Destiny 2 kind of slumping a little bit here, this isn't going to help them. They're also dealing with a bunch of people they had to fire off earlier this year. So this is not really looking good for that company, but I still retain that they'll walk away with the victory in this case. It's not against anything with Martineau. It's just the way the justice system favors corporations. It's the way it goes. Do I think Bungie has a right to create things that are similar to Martineau's? Absolutely. But I don't put it beyond them to go and find something and just lift whatever they want, expecting it to be vague enough to not be prosecuted in the courtroom. That's corporate thinking. We'll call our guys legionnaires. That's what the Romans called their legionnaires. Nobody can copyright control that. But the problem is that when you start lining it up with other things that come from Martineau's works, and again, I'm not saying that Bungie went and stole Martineau's works, but it seems to be that a lot of things are lining up pretty one-for-one with them, and it's hard to ignore. I doubt a lawyer would take this case in this atmosphere, risking further, embarrassment if once they admit that they worked that guy over and convinced him he had a case when he didn't. So I'm pretty sure he's got a case. I don't know. It's a different atmosphere than the early days of suing people for the fun of it. These days, lawyers tend to lose their firms when they go and jack up gaslight a client into thinking they have a case when they don't. And that tends to ruin a law firm these days. But who knows? We'll have to wait and find out. If you have any idea on how this is going to go, feel free to respond down in the comments. I think the corporation's going to walk away with it, but maybe you've got a different idea. Maybe you've got more information than I have here between these two articles. So you'll have to let me know, though, down in the comments. And always, as always, good luck out there.